very extremist group is going to take hold of the city of Mecca, and they will prevent people from entering the holy city. Traditions tell us that this is going to last for 5 years. And during that period, there's going to be widespread anarchy. There's going to be widespread mayhem across the world, and specifically in that region, when one day the Imam sends a nafsu zakiyya. A nafsu zakiyya is a very young protege of the Imam, a very young yet extremely devout, extremely knowledgeable young man who's going to be the Imam's envoy to this extremist element. The Imam sends him to the city of Mecca. He stands by the Kaaba and he calls out, Ya Ahla Mecca, you have killed us, we the members of the household of the Prophet. He's a descendant of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. He says, you have killed us, you have usurped our rights, you have shed our blood, you have driven us out of our homes, you have done all of these things. It is time that we put an end to that. When they come, they take this young man, I don't know what his age is, 16, 17 years old, they take him and they slaughter him by slitting his throat. When that happens, traditions tell us the Imam will end the major occultation. He will emerge from the tuwa that we mentioned, and he will go down, because you've seen the city of Mecca. If you have seen it, it slopes down in a downward fashion. The Kaaba is at the center of this valley. The Imam will emerge from that location. He will go towards the Masjid al-Haram, and he will begin his universal revolution. Let's connect deeply with the Imam. One last note. How do we connect deeply with the Imam? There's a concept that is referred to as al-aridah. Many of you might have heard about it. Al-aridah is a letter that you write and address to the Imam. I know a lot of people might look at you and say, what the hell are you doing? This is hearsay. This is just, you're making a mockery of yourself. These are fabrications. You writing a letter to the Imam? And not only writing a letter to an absent Imam who's in occultation, but throwing it in the sea? How is that going to reach your Imam? Let me tell you something. The Imam knows the contents of your letter before you even throw it in that sea, before you put it down on paper. The Imam knows what you're writing. The Imam, I don't want to get into this. But every drop of rain that descends to the earth seeks permission from the Imam before it does so. This is the man who receives revelations on Laylatul Qadr. The Imam says, "Jadiluhum bi Laylatul Qadr." You want to debate those who don't believe in me? Debate them with Surah Al-Qadr, with Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr, and how this is a continual process. This is the man who receives revelation telling him what your life and my life what my lifespan is going to be. Telling him how much sustenance I'm going to have for the next year. Telling him exactly, prophesizing with every single event that takes place on this earth. The Imam knows what you're about to write. But why is it that we're told to write letters and throw it in the sea or throw it down a well? Because when you write a letter to someone, first of all, you take great care in addressing him in the way that he is supposed to be addressed. Right? It's like writing a will. When you write your will, you're thinking about the moments just prior to your death. You take very, very great care in how you phrase your sentences and how you cross the T's and dot the I's. When you write a letter to the Imam, you speak with him in a fashion that truly interprets your feelings towards the Imam. And when you write a letter, let me conclude with this, when you write a letter, you are acknowledging with every last remaining iota of your intellectual capacity that this man exists. He's not a fable. He's not a fairy tale. In fact, I'm going to write a letter to him. Traditions tell us, you write the letter, you will get the response. There are so many stories out there. An Iraqi friend of mine was telling me that I married a Dutch woman. And I talked to her, and eventually she converted to Islam, alhamdulillah, and she became a Shia. And as I was explaining to her the different pillars of our faith and whatnot, he said, I told her about the 12th Imam. She said, what is the 12th Imam? I said, this is the Imam of our time. In other words, if we ever stand in need for this Imam, he's going to come and help us. And this is something that we all believe in, but like I said, we don't connect on a personal level. He says that we went to Hajj the next year, And somehow during the tawaf, I lost my wife. During tawaf. You lose someone who doesn't speak the language, who doesn't understand the culture, who's Dutch, lost in Saudi Arabia of all places, and she didn't have the address. And here's the thing, he says, I made the mistake of not providing her with the hotel address or the phone number or anything. So you can imagine he was going absolutely crazy. He says, I looked for her for about 7 hours, then I got tired, I went back to the hotel to get some rest, and he says, I woke up in the morning and she's lying there next to me. I said, what happened? Who brought you here? He says, well, you remember that 12th Imam you told me about? You said whenever you stand in need of him, you call out his name and he helps you? Well, that's exactly what I did, with all innocence. She said, I called his name, and suddenly I see this man coming up to me and saying, would you like to perform the rest of the a'mal? I said, sure, I don't know how to do it. He allowed me to perform the tawaf, the sa'i, I finished all my a'mal, and then he got me into a car and he drove me to my hotel, and here I am, I've done all my a'mal. We know this, but it's only when you write that letter, the aridah. Don't let anybody dissuade you. You've got a problem, write the aridah, write that letter to the Imam. Throw it in the sea. I swear to God you'll get a response. As-Sayyid ibn Tawus, and I'll end with this. As-Sayyid ibn Tawus says, I went to the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen. As-Sayyid ibn Tawus is one who was known to have met the Imam on a few occasions. He says that I saw the great wajh Allah الذي يتوجه إليه الأولياء. I saw وعد الله الذي ضمنه